Hi, everyone. Josh Rugger here in studio early this morning with a special Super Bowl Sunday weather live stream. Usually, we don't have a morning show here on Fox 24, but because it's Super Bowl Sunday, we had a morning show with Josh Pineda just a few moments ago. Had a great time, got to make some Super Bowl picks, and we had a special guest in studio this morning. Harper, where are you at right now? Harper, guys, Harper has been picking the Super Bowl every time we have the Super Bowl on Fox. She comes on and gives a pick. And a few years ago, of course, she's under the table right now, so you can just see her booty. But Harper was picking the Chiefs a few years ago. So she picked the Kansas City Chiefs a few years ago. She didn't even touch the Eagles pick. She didn't even touch the Eagles treats. But this year, she picked the Philadelphia Eagles. And so we'll see if she's still going to be 100% at the end of the day. Maybe there's a lot of factors at play that she wasn't looking at, but she's been having a great day, having a good time in studio, making it her domain. She is the queen of KNWA and Fox 24 now. So, Harper, you keep doing your queen thing back there. We're going to go home in about 20 minutes or so, okay? Okay, girl. All right. Well, she's having a good time. She's tired. A lot of attention today, as you can imagine, from everybody here. But just wanted to give you a little look at Harper this morning. But got to get to the latest information because we've got a lot to discuss. There's still a lot of uncertainty with the forecast for the rest of this week, folks. You know it. I know it. Dan knows it. Our entire Weather Authority team knows it. We talked about this over the last few days. Nothing set in stone with this system. But I personally think as we're getting closer to the event, that we might be a little bit too warm for major winter weather impacts. But again, it's a fine margin. It's a very thin margin with these temperatures right now. And this morning, we're already starting to see some precipitation across portions of northwest Arkansas and the River Valley. Now, a lot of this I've noticed is not reaching the ground right now, but it is showing up on satellite radar. Let me know if you're living out in Madison and Newton County, if you're seeing any of that precipitation. But a lot of this not reaching the ground south of the Bobby Upper Tunnel, but it is a sign that the energy is starting to kick in off to our south and west. And if we take a wider view here, you can see that southwest flow weather pattern starting to take hold over portions of New Mexico and Arizona. You can see those clouds streaming into central Oklahoma. We'll actually have pretty nice afternoon weather-wise. Temperatures will be chilly still, but there will be quite a bit of sunshine. In fact, we're already starting to see some sunshine in Decatur, portions of Fayetteville as well. So actually not too bad of an afternoon expected. Don't expect a whole lot of precipitation chances, at least for this afternoon. But overnight tonight to early tomorrow morning, that will start to change, and we could start to see some winter weather as early as tomorrow morning, right around 3 to 4 o'clock. But it's very uncertain right now, folks. There's no doubt about it. We're going to see precipitation. That energy is starting to swing our way as we speak. But is it going to fall in the form of winter weather? That remains to be seen. You've seen this graphic a few times over the last several days. Again, we're in this battleground zone between cold and warm air. We're starting to see that cold air leak into northwest Arkansas, but is it going to push far enough south Monday night to Tuesday to see widespread impacts? It's very much up in the air. Now, later in the week, another storm system moves through. That cold air surges a little bit farther to the south, and we may see a little bit more in the way of winter weather. But it all depends on the amount of energy left over as well. Some of the models are saying, hey, maybe this energy is swinging out by the time we get to Wednesday afternoon and we don't get a good chance of winter weather. Other models, which I tend to agree with a little bit more because in this pattern you get all these pieces of energy, are saying that it sticks around for that cold air to move into our area, giving us a better chance of winter precipitation. But again, folks, look at these margins that we're going to be dealing with over the next few days. Now, this model, I think, is a little bit too cold just because it's keeping the cloud cover around. High temperatures this afternoon will generally be in the lower to middle 40s. So still below average for this time of year, but nothing too crazy with the northeasterly wind at about 5 to 10 miles per hour. Now, overnight tonight to early tomorrow morning, you can see a little piece of energy moving our way. That could swing in some light freezing drizzle or sleet pellets in far northwestern Arkansas. Again, the usual suspects here: Carroll, Madison, Newton, and Boone County. These areas would be favored for any light freezing drizzle overnight tonight to early tomorrow morning. It's very much up in the air. But if we do see that, that could cause a glaze on the roadways. So that is something to watch very closely. Along the I-49 corridor, I tend to have my doubts about that coming to fruition. But again, we'll see. Because as you'll soon notice, Monday afternoon, temperatures start to warm up into the lower to middle 40s. Now, this model doesn't have any rain Monday afternoon, and that's a big deal. Because if we can get rain, and I'm talking like a consistent, steady rain, earlier in the day Monday, that could cool off our temperatures a little bit more from Monday night into Tuesday. And I think that's going to make a big difference in our weather. Now, with the southwest flow weather pattern, that can sometimes swing in the energy a little bit earlier than what the models are showing, and you could cool that column of air above the surface faster. Is that going to happen? This model says no. And because of that, the temperatures stay above freezing along the I-49 corridor. Now, in the higher trend of northwest Arkansas towards Eureka Springs, Huntsville, and Harrison, notice temperatures are dropping off to right around freezing or just a touch below that. So you're starting to see freezing rain in the Boston Mountain Range, maybe some pockets of freezing rain in the higher trend of the Ouachita Mountains. But along I-49, temperatures stay in the middle to upper 30s. If it's 33 degrees in Fayetteville, it's just going to be plain old regular rain. If this is 2 to 3 degrees colder, we're talking about major problems Tuesday morning. Now, this is according to this model, which has been a little bit too cold over the last few days. So take that with a grain of salt. But it's still keeping temperatures just above freezing in far northwestern Arkansas as we move throughout that Tuesday morning commute. So is it correct? We'll see. Again, that's why this forecast is so tricky, folks, because some of the models are showing it right around 34, 35 degrees early Tuesday morning. Some models are showing it in the upper 20s early Tuesday morning. So which of these models are going to win out? It makes a big difference. If it's 33 degrees all throughout the night in northwest Arkansas, it's just plain old regular rain. If it gets below 32 degrees, we're talking about problems early Tuesday morning. And of course, our long-range models are still not helping us with this setup. The European model still shows all rain for the whole area Monday night to Tuesday. I don't know if that's going to necessarily happen. I still think the higher trend of northwest Arkansas gets light icing at the very least, but it was right about yesterday too. So we'll see. But as you can see, a lot of rain moving through the area on Tuesday morning. Now, Wednesday, we could start seeing a bit of a different story. Winter precipitation moving into northwest Arkansas Tuesday night into early Wednesday morning, continuing throughout Wednesday afternoon on the backside of that system, with maybe one more shot of winter weather potential Thursday afternoon. I do buy that. I do buy that because of southwest flow swinging in an additional piece of energy our way. So we could see some snowflakes Thursday afternoon as well. Wouldn't be as big of a deal, but it is something to watch very closely. Now, the GFS continues to show a very concerning setup for Monday night to Tuesday, but is it too cold? That could certainly happen. Again, it's borderline even with the GFS. The GFS is showing widespread winter weather Monday night to early Tuesday morning, but the temperatures that it's actually showing are like literally 31, 32 degrees over northwest Arkansas. So if that's 2 to 3 degrees warmer, then it's nothing. It's a big nothing burger. But it is showing winter weather, even throughout Tuesday afternoon as well, with that positive tilt to the trough. It's keeping the system around even longer. So you're dealing with even more winter weather over northwest Arkansas before finally moving out by the time we get to Tuesday afternoon. But it also shows a very brief break in the activity before that second piece of energy comes to Wednesday. Again, much like that first piece of energy, pretty aggressive with the winter weather potential, maybe a little bit farther north with that system, which is why it swings out a little bit earlier. But just like the European model is showing a second burst of maybe some snow or sleet over northwest Arkansas and the River Valley Thursday afternoon. So it's crazy, folks. It's crazy how very fine these margins are with this system. I do lean towards this Monday night to Tuesday system maybe not being as impactful as it could have been. Maybe we're going to dodge a bullet with this system. I do think that's looking more and more like the most likely scenario, but it's also not the only one, folks. Even though it's the most likely scenario, the worst case scenario is that it's 2 to 3 degrees colder, and we're talking about a major winter storm. So again, you've got to stay weather aware over the next few days. Now, I'm going to show you a couple of computer models. This is the European model. There's the first system Monday night to Tuesday. As you can see, it's not showing a lot of icing, even in the higher trend of northwest Arkansas. Now, that may be underdone just a little bit for Huntsville and Harrison. I think that's the case, but it's not showing a whole lot of icing with that first system. Now, the second system rolls through, and that brings more widespread icing to portions of Carroll, Madison, Newton, and Boone County. You can see about 1/10 to 1/4 of an inch of ice in these locations, with lighter snowfall totals as well in southwest Missouri. And then there's that second burst of snow I was just talking about Thursday afternoon, bringing maybe a little bit of winter weather to portions of Fayetteville and Bentonville. But the European model, that's not too bad for the I-49 corridor. Again, the higher trend of NWA would see some light icing, but that's not enough I mean, a tenth of an inch of ice is not enough to cause widespread power outages. It can cause some power outages here and there. It can certainly cause some roadway issues. We'll have to deal with that in the morning in those areas. But in terms of power outage concerns, that would not be an issue if the European model wins out. This is the model I want to win out. Now, is it too warm? Maybe, but it actually was pretty good with yesterday's temperatures. So that's something to be aware of. The GFS, much more aggressive. This is Monday night to Tuesday. You can see a tenth to a quarter of an inch of ice already in the higher train of NWA and a little bit of icing going on along the I-49 corridor. That's a problem. That's roadway issues Tuesday morning. That's power outage concerns in Boone and in Newton and Johnson, Boone, Newton, Carroll, Madison County. That would be a problem if this model wins out. And then the second piece of energy moves in, and that brings an additional chance for winter weather over our coverage area. And as you can see, that's bringing in some snow to southwest Missouri. So, again, as I just mentioned, folks, it is literally razor thin with those margins. Razor thin. You drop these temperatures by 2 to 3 degrees, and all this stuff that's going on here in Kansas and Missouri leans to the south some more. And then you're talking about power outage issues along the I-49 corridor. To me, though, the most likely scenario right now is minor impacts. What I mean by minor impacts, I mean some inconveniences to daily life, right? Some inconveniences on the roadways Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday morning. But in terms of widespread impacts causing power outages, that would be a little less likely. It's not a 0% chance, though, for that to happen. This is why you have to download that Weather Authority app. That's why you need to keep an eye on this forecast, folks, because it is changing rapidly. But I have noticed over the last few model runs, even with the GFS, it has gotten a little bit warmer with this setup, which is why it's not showing as much winter weather. So that's something to keep a close eye on. Again, folks, stay tuned, stay weather aware. Right now, I think that minor impacts are more likely, especially Tuesday night into early Wednesday morning. So mainly rain for Monday afternoon. In my opinion, high temperatures will be in the lower to middle 40s in northwest Arkansas. Overnight lows, again, could drop off below freezing. That could bring some impacts early Tuesday morning. Second system moves through Tuesday night into Wednesday, bringing another chance of winter weather. Might have to bump up those precipitation chances for Thursday, but check it out. Much warmer temperatures for Friday into Saturday of this week with highs in the upper 40s to lower 50s. Even better in the River Valley, middle to upper 50s expected. So even if we do see major winter weather impacts, we should see significant melting by the time we get to Friday into Saturday. Now, River Valley, I still think the majority of precipitation is going to fall in the form of rain. In fact, I think most of it will, because if the temperatures are uptrending for northwest Arkansas, they're also uptrending for the River Valley. It kind of compounds on itself. Still a cold rain, still something to keep an eye on, but I do think the majority of the precipitation in the River Valley is going to fall in the form of rain Monday through Wednesday. So that's the gist of it right now. I just wanted to provide this quick update on that front. I see we got some comments. If you guys have some more questions or concerns, just let me know. But in a nutshell, and I know I've repeated this several times, I think the most likely scenario is for minor impacts along and north of the Bobby Hopper Tunnel. Higher train of NWA, going to see the majority of the winter weather with this particular storm system, especially Monday night into Tuesday, while the I-49 corridor, to me, a few hundredths of an inch of ice, maybe a tenth of an inch of ice, is the most likely scenario. There's other scenarios, too, where we could just see plain old regular rain everywhere. I mean, if it's 2 to 3 degrees warmer in the higher train of NWA, too, that's just rain. If it's 2 to 3 degrees colder, though, which to me is the least likely scenario, but still in play, widespread winter weather potential. So it's there, folks. It's still there. But I do believe that as we're getting closer to the event, we are starting to see an uptrend in terms of those temperatures. Yesterday kind of made me think, okay, maybe the temperatures are going to be warmer just because it was in the upper 60s to lower 70s area wide. If it was a little bit colder yesterday and that cold air was already in place, maybe we were talking about a different setup here. But because it was warmer yesterday, because the models continue to uptrend and we're seeing those signals, I lean towards mostly rain right now. But we'll see what happens. We'll see what happens. But I see a few questions here, a few comments early this morning. Super Bowl Sunday from Edward. Edward wants the Eagles to win it all. You know, Harper over here, again, she picked the Eagles. So she's 100%. She's got 100% accuracy in terms of picking the Super Bowl winners. So maybe she'll give you the win for you. Brian wants the Chiefs in the three-peat. He wants to see greatness Sean, all ready for the Super Bowl as well. Wants the Kansas City Chiefs to get that W. I love it, Sean. Alex got the baby back ribs and brisket. He was smoking those all night. I know Alex got the best barbecue in Northwest Arkansas right there. Thanks, Alex, for joining in this morning. Is meteorologist Dan Scoff at the game, according to Turd? Well, no, he's not at the game. He's actually at church services right now, Mr. Ferguson. But he is definitely rooting for the Eagles, I think. Honestly, I think he's just rooting for chaos at this point because he also has the Eagles who beat the Packers, and then he has the Chiefs who right now he doesn't want the three-peat. So interesting setup for him right now when it comes to this particular game. Oh, yeah, David's all about Harper. Yep, she's in the background kind of walking around, sniffing things out. Again, Queen Harper. She's the queen of KNWA and Fox 24. Michael says go Eagles. Colby, boo Harper, go Chiefs. The Colby effect right there talking about Harper. So, Harper, you hear that? Got a little call out. Colby's calling you out, Harper. Colby, she doesn't even care. She knows what's up. She knows what's up. Emily's all about the Chiefs. Angie, absolutely anytime. I know some folks maybe are getting ready for the Super Bowl right now, but I just wanted to provide this update to get you guys the latest details. Zach's going to be here later on this evening. He'll have another update for you. I just wanted to get in here and give you an update on everything. And I apologize if I don't sound as I usually do, like as crazy with the energy. But I am kind of tired after yesterday's game for Arkansas. Man, tough loss for the Hogs, but they fought hard. Long game. Alabama going to be number one by tomorrow, but I like where the Hogs are right now. I don't want to say moral victories, but they fought well in that second half for sure. Oh yeah, thanks, Josh. Oh, Josh Marshall, our director here, or used to be director here at KNWA Fox 24, and yeah, Harper's just walking around all over the place right now. Josh, maybe she'll be our next director here at KNWA Fox 24. Harper, you want to be a director? You want to make a little bit of money? Got to make money for those treats. I like how she just goes under the desk every single time. She's having a great time. I love it. What about Kingston for Ice, says Lana. So Kingston would be a little bit more favorable for Ice, Lana. You're in the higher trend in Northwest Arkansas. You're in a more favorable setup for Ice, in my opinion. It's not set in stone, but here's the deal. You're in the higher trend of NWA. I'm going to go back to this NAM model here. Notice this, Lana. You're in Madison County, right? Notice how we go along in time here on this model, how the temperatures are at or below freezing in Madison County in and around the Huntsville area. So all of that is falling in the form of freezing rain. If this model is correct, that is freezing rain potential in Kingston. So that is something to watch very closely Monday night to Tuesday. You are in the most favorable spot for winter weather. At the very least, I think you get some light icing, Lena, Monday night to Tuesday morning. And an additional piece of energy Tuesday night and a Wednesday as well that could bring a better chance for icing in Kingston. So keep an eye on this forecast, Lena. There could be some slick spots on the roadways at the very least. Steven's all about the Kansas City Chiefs. Chiefs three-peat, says Linda. Kathy watched in the River Valley. So, Kathy, as you can see, the River Valley not seeing as much winter weather potential as Northwest Arkansas. Having said that, it's not set in stone yet, but I think the River Valley is going to see mostly rain from this particular storm system. I see Gregory's comment. Gregory, I'm not going to show it just for your sake because I know we got a lot of Kansas City Chiefs fans, but I'm not saying you're necessarily wrong on that front. I'm not saying you're necessarily wrong. Radiant Jules, St. Louis, Missouri for the Chiefs three-peat. Chiefs Kingdom, says William. Edward says, thanks, Josh. Really appreciate you, Edward. Let's see here. So Comic-Con is going on Saturday in Springfield. Do you think they're going to cancel it? Oh, I think Saturday it should be much improved, Stephen, even if there is winter weather potential up there in Springfield, which it will be a higher-end winter weather threat in Springfield. Don't get me wrong. But I think Springfield will be fine for Comic-Con. That sounds like a lot of fun, by the way. I need to get up to Comic-Con sometime. I think that'd be a lot of fun. Dance Stuff Diva. Harper gets a treat no matter what. No matter which team wins. We need more HarperCast. I agree, Dance Stuff Diva. You know what? Harper should start picking Razorback games because, you know what? I think she could be a great Razorback picker. She's 100% accurate so far. Even if she's not going to be 100% accurate after tonight, she's still 100% cute. And that's the only thing that matters. Yeah, Harper owns the place, Robert. You know, I think that's that collie in her. The thing about collies are they're just independent dogs. They're so smart, right? She just knows what she's doing, right? She's gonna do what she's got to do. And sometimes when I go outside with her, let her run around, I'm like, "Oh, Harper, let's go back in." And she knows what I'm saying. She said she knows that I'm saying to come back in. She understands it, but she's like, "You know what, Dad? I'm gonna stay out here for about 5 more minutes because I got another smell I gotta kind of fine tune." So that's what you're seeing right now, Robert, is exactly what you get at the Rugger household. Clarksville, says David. So Clarksville a little bit more favored for rain right now, David, but margins are thin. Margins are thin. Nikita, Josh, loved your dog Harper on TV this morning. She is so scoot. Tell Harper, Chip and Bentley say hi. Oh, absolutely, Nikita. I'll let Harper know that right there. And I see a couple of comments in here that I'm going to kind of ignore, but yeah, maybe I'll mute those people. Just some hate in the comments. What is potential winter weather for Northwest Arkansas? So, Kat, we just talked about that a few moments ago. Again, Northwest Arkansas, there is some potential there for some winter weather. But as I mentioned earlier, Steve, we talked about the forecast extensively. We talked about how the higher trend of Northwest Arkansas is going to be a little bit more favorable for winter weather. As you can see, there is some icing potential there in portions of Carroll, Madison, Newton, Boone, and Carroll County. But these areas here, even if this model wins out, a few hundredths of an inch to a tenth of an inch of ice, that doesn't cause widespread impacts. That does cause problems on the roadways, but it doesn't cause power outages or damage or stuff like that. So that's good news on that front. I lean towards the system being more minor impacts. But again, if the temperatures are about 2 to 3 degrees colder along the I-49 corridor, you're talking about more major winter weather impacts with the system. So that is something to watch. The margins are very, very thin with this particular storm system. Let's see here. Will Missouri get lots of snow, Mason? I think so, especially portions of western Missouri near Kansas City. Believe it or not, they could get some very significant snowfall with this storm system. That is for sure. Any thunder potential with any of this? Jacob, it's a southwest flow pattern, so there's always that potential. But looking at the soundings, there's not a whole lot of instability to work with. There's not any of that instability that sneaks in. I looked at most unstable Cape. I looked at mixed layer Cape. Just not really there with this system. Having said that, I can't completely rule it out. But there's also a lot of dry air to contend with as well. And that could throw a wrench in this forecast. It's southwest flow, so it usually overcomes that. But it is something to watch very, very closely. I just don't think there's going to be a whole lot of thunder potential with this system. Let's see here. So nothing for Fort Smith. Lisa, right now it's looking like impacts, if there are any, would be very minimal. It just doesn't look like the cold air is going to make it that far south. Having said that, I would still watch this system closely, even if you are in the River Valley. But for Fort Smith, Clarksville, Booneville, Poto, those areas, I just don't think this is going to be a system that causes any impacts. Just not a whole lot of cold air in place for those areas. But we're still watching it very closely. How much rainfall is expected, winter or not? So this is a good question right here. And I'm going to go back here to the QPF. This is the 7-day rain forecast. So, this is just the amount of liquid precipitation that you're seeing. And it'll take a little while to load here. But as you can see, the rain forecast is pretty hefty, especially the farther south and east you go, where the weather pattern is a little bit warmer. So for far northwestern Arkansas, about 1 to 1.5 inches of rain expected in most spots along and north of the Bobby Hopper Tunnel. For the River Valley, you're getting closer to 2 to 3 inches, especially in Scott, Logan, Johnson County. These areas right here may have some higher end rainfall potential. So that is something to watch closely in those spots. Nothing like in terms of flash flooding or anything crazy, but maybe some higher end rainfall potential in these counties right here along the Interstate 40 corridor. But for far northwestern Arkansas, maybe about a 1 to 1.5 inches of rain from this storm system. So that was a good question. Thank you for that. Oh yeah, no, I appreciate it, Steve. I mean, we have fun here on these live streams. I mean, it's a Super Bowl show. It's a Super Bowl Sunday. A lot of folks are asking about the Super Bowl, having fun with the Super Bowl. We had Harper here in studio, and most of the time we're serious, but we just wanted to have some fun as well with a lot of stuff. But appreciate you. Let's see here. Yeah, stay safe, everyone. Yeah, and again, Lisa, we'll watch it. I lean more towards the system. Again, as I mentioned earlier in this live stream, the most likely scenario is mostly rain with light icing potential, minor impacts for areas along and east of the I-49 corridor. That's the most likely scenario with this system, in my opinion. There still is that potential it overproduces. If you're about 3 to 4 degrees colder, then it can overproduce. But that's going against what a lot of the guidance is showing. That's going against with a lot of what the last few days have been showing. So, again, folks, we're going to be watching it. We're here. Zach Gilday is going to be here this evening. I'm going to be back here tomorrow morning watching this very closely. Tomorrow morning, I feel like we should have a much better idea because we're going to be doing the nowcasting. We're going to be actually able to see what the temperatures are at the time. We're going to get real-time observations. That's going to help us out tremendously with this forecasting process. So that's why we say they can have that Weather Authority app. That's why we say to keep an eye on that live blog because we're updating that constantly with brand new information. But yeah, so Joey, 2 systems, Monday night to Tuesday, right, is the first system, which I'll show you here. Monday night to Tuesday right here. Again, this model is showing mostly rain, even in the higher train of Northwest Arkansas, which I think the higher train of NWA is going to see at least some light icing. But as you can see, Wednesday into Thursday, there is the potential for maybe a little bit more impactful winter weather. But the cold air's got to make it south, folks. And sometimes with these systems, you see the cold air trying to creep south, but it never makes it here. Even when you get to that second system that theoretically should be colder. So that is something to be aware of. Even though the cold air will likely be a little bit deeper, is it going to make its way into Northwest Arkansas in time? I have questions about that. But I will say Tuesday night and Wednesday has a much better chance for winter weather over portions of Northwest Arkansas than the Monday night into Tuesday system does. Is Tulsa area going to get a decent amount of ice or snow? So Chiefs, very fitting question, by the way. Very fitting name, by the way. I think so. I think Tulsa will have a better chance, but it's not going to be as impactful as areas farther west. Now, this model right here for Tuesday night and Wednesday is showing some pretty big icing and some pretty big snow in Tulsa, but the margins are thin. Again, the margins are thin, so you've got to watch that very closely. So again, Chris, Monday night into Tuesday with the first round that has less impacts, in my opinion. Tuesday night into Wednesday, maybe a more impactful system pushing towards Northwest Arkansas. And yeah, this won't be anything like 2009, Lena. This won't be anything like 2009. I don't think so. But again, we'll see. We'll see what happens. Sometimes it can be colder than what the models are showing, and then it's a big ice storm. But I have my doubts right now. And that's why you don't see any winter storm watches or winter weather advisories right now, because there is just too much uncertainty at this time for the National Weather Service to issue that. But that's why we're on this live stream. That's why we're keeping you updated, because there's a lot of different variables at play here. Oh, yeah, Robert, I really appreciate the kind words. I don't necessarily think it's hate. I know some people come here for the forecast. They don't want to see the different stuff that goes on in the background. I get it. But just trying to spread some positivity this morning. That's what I always try to do. And I know I can be a little bit energetic. I got ADHD and stuff like that. We got Harper in studio right now. I'm excited for the Super Bowl. I know a lot of folks are excited for the Super Bowl as well. So I wanted to add a little bit of fun this morning as well. Let's see here. Saw Peyton on the broadcast earlier, just wondering who he predicts to win the Super Bowl. I don't know, Edward. That's a good question. I'm sure he's leaning towards the Eagles right now. There's a lot of folks leaning towards the Eagles. I know Dan's rooting for the Eagles. I'm rooting for the Eagles. Peyton, Patrick Meredith, who is our one of our assignment managers here, he actually is an Eagles fan, so he's going to be stressing out tonight. Of course, I know Colby Ward's watching right now, Mr. Colby effect. I think he's rooting for the Chiefs because he's a big-time Chiefs fan. I'm going to a Super Bowl party. Luke, are there any good ways to predict how far that Arctic air can get? Well, Luke, it's a great question. Again, when it comes to these Arctic air masses, especially a shallow Arctic air mass like this, the models don't give us any help. So really, Luke, it comes down to what I call nowcasting. You may have heard me say that earlier in the live stream, but when we get to tomorrow morning, we're going to get real-time observations. So when we get those real-time observations, we're going to have a better idea of where that cold air is setting up, how it's going to set up over our area, and what impact that's going to play on the weather as we move throughout the rest of the event. So right now, it's uncertain. Tomorrow, when we start getting real-time observations, we're going to have a much better idea of what's going on. And I know that's kind of last second, but that's kind of the system we're working with. I'd say this, though. The most likely scenario is mostly rain with this first system, at least along I-49. The higher trend of northwest Arkansas will more than likely see, at the least, light icing. But the worst case scenario, Mike, which kind of leads me into this, is the temperatures are 3 degrees colder, or 3 to 4 degrees colder. Then you're getting even more icing. The worst case scenario is that the I-49 corridor gets about a tenth to a quarter of an inch of ice. The higher trend of NWA gets over a quarter of an inch of ice. And then you're talking about major roadway concerns on I-49 and major power outage issues in Carroll, Madison, Newton, and Boone County. Again, a quarter of an inch of ice or greater, that's really the threshold for power outage concerns. Half an inch of ice is widespread power outages with damage potential. Don't know if we're necessarily going to get to that point, Mike, but we'll be watching it. Again, it's a very thin margin. It's a very thin margin with the storm system. But I agree with Jesse. Tuesday into Wednesday, or Tuesday night into Wednesday, does look like the more likely of the two systems to produce widespread winter weather. But again, if the cold air doesn't move south or doesn't move far enough south, well, then it's just mostly rain again. It's not that big of a deal. But I do think that's the system to more than likely cause issues over our area rather than Monday night into Tuesday. Do you think it will be power outage from the ice? How old is Harper, and what for dinner tonight? So Daniel, some great questions right there. Again, for power outages, a quarter of an inch of ice or greater. Half an inch of ice for widespread power outages. But if you're talking about roadway concerns, all you need is a glaze. That's the issue with these systems, folks. A little bit goes a long way. So even if I'm forecasting light icing for Tuesday morning, for Wednesday morning, for Thursday morning, that's still issues. So that's something to watch very closely for the morning commute. Having said that, for power outage concerns, you got to get to a quarter of an inch or greater, in my opinion. Once you get to that threshold, that's when you start talking about power outage potential. Is this system going to cause it? That remains to be seen right now. Now, for your other questions, Daniel, Harper is 3 years old, and she's sleeping right now, by the way. So we're not going to wake up the queen. We're not going to wake up Queen Harper right now. She gets her beauty sleep. But for dinner tonight, looks like it's going to be some chilies and some slim chickens at Colby Ward's Casa. So I'm going to Colby's house for this. I've been going the last few years. Every single time the Chiefs win, every single time I got to see him celebrate and stuff like that. He bet on the Eagles, by the way, which was pretty good. Was a pretty good pretty good bet in my opinion. Never bet for your favorite team. That's the number one rule in sports gambling. But for dinner tonight, a little bit of chili, a little bit of slim chicken, some dessert as well, and we're going to be cooking with gas tonight. Cannot wait for that Super Bowl party at Colby's house. What is your favorite food to eat at the Super Bowl? That's an even better question, Daniel. I love buffalo wings. Give me some buffalo wings. Give me some ranch dressing. I'm not a big blue cheese guy personally. Blue cheese, a little stinky. You know what? I'm going to ask that question to the audience right now. What is your Super Bowl? What's your favorite Super Bowl dish? Put those in the comments right now. I'm going to go through those. I want to see what everybody loves to eat at their Super Bowl parties because I'm interested. Maybe we'll have some new recipes this year at the Colby Ward Super Bowl party. But go ahead and put those in the comments right now, and let's see what you guys are thinking for Super Bowl parties. Your favorite food. Lisa, thanks for the update. I got to go. I'll check back later. Well, Lisa, have a good time. Christina, great job, Josh. Don't change. And love the dog. Yeah. Harper says she really appreciates it. We need to have more HarperCast. I agree. We need to have more HarperCast. Harper always brings some good vibes to the live streams. So Brittany just joined. So again, Brittany, this is kind of the computer model that we're showing right now. As you can see, still showing mostly rain for this system Monday night into Tuesday. But then it's showing more impactful winter weather potential for Wednesday into Thursday. So even though the European is warmer, it's showing more impacts for that Wednesday into Thursday system. The GFS model showing maybe a little bit more winter weather potential for Monday night into Tuesday as well. As you can see, Wednesday night into Thursday, that second piece of energy comes in, bringing more winter weather impacts to our weather coverage area. And both the models are showing a second piece of energy on Thursday as well, which I do think will happen. I do think there will be another piece of energy on Thursday. Let's see here. Is it going to be like the 1897 icing event or worse? Brian, probably not. Probably not going to be worse in this situation. Let's see here. Buffalo dip, says Courtney. Okay, I like that right there. Buffalo dip is good. Crystal Martinez made some great buffalo dip. I think it might be time to bring out the 8-ball. Edward, I'm not going to touch the 8-ball. And I love the 8-ball. I love the 8-ball forecast. I love fun stuff like that. But the problem is that the 8-ball doesn't like me at all. It only likes Dan. So that's why I just give it to Dan. I defer to Dan on those situations because Dan, he's the man. The 8-ball knows it. Everybody else knows it. So I think the 8-ball is just like, you know what, you amateur, you weather forecaster Josh, who's still working on his meteorology degree, I'm not going to give you my power. Now, maybe when I get my meteorology degree and I finish that up in a few months, maybe it allows me to use this power. But Edward, the 8-ball just does not like me. So we got some things that we've got to work out over the next few months. But again, models are basically like an 8-ball right now. I mean, they're all over the place, as you can see. So we'll see what happens. Oh, it's the Super Bowl today. That means spring training is almost here. I'm right there with you, Scott. Looks like you're a Seattle Mariners fan. I can see your hat right there. And you know what? I'm a Seattle Kraken fan. I'm a Rangers fan in baseball, but I'm a Seattle Kraken fan. So the Kraken not doing too great this year, but there's still a lot of hockey to be played. But I can't wait for baseball season as well. It's going to be a good time for Razorback baseball later on this week. Edward, I don't really go to parties. I just enjoy a game at my house. I respect that right there, Edward. I respect that. Let's see here. Chip and Bentley are sleeping. Don't forget the Puppy Bowl. Good mention right there, Nikita. The Puppy Bowl going on. That's one of my favorites as well. I know they have rescue pups all the time there. I'm sure Harper would have a great time in the Puppy Bowl. Harper, would you do good in the Puppy Bowl? She's not even responding to me. She didn't even. Oh, now she looked up. She's like, okay, I'm on camera. I'll look up. And then she's back to sleep. She's had a long morning, folks. She's been making pics. She's had some TV time. She's been going on walks, getting a lot of attention. So we'll let Harper sleep there for a few more moments. My daughter wants to know how Beaver Lake in East Springdale is looking, if it's considered a high terrain. It's a good question, Shayla. And I would say the east side of Washington County. So if I go to Mega Doppler here, what I mean by that, the east side of Washington County towards Springdale or towards Goshen, Spring Valley, Elkins, Wesley, in western Madison County, Hinesville, Clifty. These areas are where the higher terrain starts. This is where the higher terrain of Boston Mountain starts. So you get east of Fayetteville, eastern Washington County into Madison and Carroll County, as well as Newton and Boone County. These areas right here are what I would consider the higher terrain of northwest Arkansas. So once you get east of Fayetteville and east of I-49, that elevation begins to rise. And again, you're talking about Beaver Lake. I would consider this area higher terrain, especially near Spring Valley. Now, maybe not as high as Hinesville and Huntsville, of course, but it is higher terrain. So if the temperatures are cooler, that could be an issue there. So Dakota wants a foot of snow. Well, Dakota, I don't think this system will bring that, but you know what? If you want to go to Kansas and Nebraska and southern Iowa and western Missouri, you may see that with this system. Fact, baseball should be played 370 days a year. Well, if only we had 370 days, Brian. We'll take 5 days less than that, 365 days. I agree. Baseball should be played year-round. Scott says, go Mariners. I love it, Scott. Edward, I'm a Pistons, Lions, Red Wings, Tigers, and Wolverines fan. I love that, Edward. Detroit Pistons getting a little bit better. Detroit Lions fell short. Red Wings having a good season. Detroit Tigers are getting better. Wolverines are good. Just not as good as they're good. They're better than Arkansas in football. I'll give you that, Edward. But in baseball and basketball, I think we got the Wolverines on that one. But we'll give you football. We'll give you football. You guys are much better than us on that particular front. Let's see here. My favorite food of the Super Bowl: chicken wings and chili burgers, pizza, and Reese's candy. I love that right there. Maybe we need to go to Nikita's place to get some food. That sounds absolutely fantastic. But yeah, I'm right there with you. I love chicken wings with a little bit of ranch and maybe a little bit of that honey barbecue. Honey barbecue might be my favorite wing sauce for sure. So Mountainburg, Michelle, is a little bit farther south. So I'll take a wider view here. So Mountainburg is down here, just south of Chester. I would say Mountainburg, more rain with this system. That's just because you're south of the Bobby Hopper Tunnel. You're in that, you're not as high of a terrain as Madison, Newton, Carroll, and Boone County. Still a higher terrain area, but you're farther south, so the cold air is not pushing as far south. So that's why I would say in Mountainburg, it's looking more like plain old regular rain, at least with this system. But that second system that moves through, we'll watch that one very closely. And there are some indications, as you can see here, Michelle, that a second system or third system may be moving through on Thursday. And cold air is deeper, obviously, with that system. So that could bring more impacts. We might need to increase the precipitation chances for Thursday. Something to watch very closely. Have you ever microwaved a tomato? It's very tasty and a convenient Super Bowl snack. Well, Brian's dropping some tips and tricks for everybody in the chat right now. So make sure you microwave a tomato if you want to get a great Super Bowl snack, according to Brian. We predicting school all week long. Well, Kevin, that's not up to me on that front. But if you're a student or if you have students, tell them to do their homework. That's all I'm going to say on that front. Tell them to do their homework. Because from my experience, when I was younger, didn't do my homework when there was even a hint of winter weather, and I would get into big time trouble. And so just tell your students, and this is to all the parents out there, tell them to get their homework done today. Because I would expect to go to school tomorrow. I think tomorrow will be fine. Maybe you're off of school Tuesday, Wednesday, and Thursday, but it's borderline, and it's more likely than not that you will be in school. It's not a 0% chance that you're not going to be in school, but more likely than not, you'll be in school. Now, Wednesday and Thursday, I start having my doubts, but I think there will be school Monday morning at the very least. And the rest of my answer is do your homework. That's all I'll say on that front. That's a good question, though, Kevin. Kingston and Marble are where the real mountains are. I absolutely agree. I don't know, Edward. Arkansas beat you head-to-head in basketball, and you look at the history between both programs. I think Arkansas has got a little bit more history. But baseball, for sure. Baseball, no doubt about it. Here's the deal. How about this? We'll say football, Michigan, by far the better program. Basketball, it's even. Baseball, Arkansas is by far the better program. See? Nice little compromise right there. We're both pretty even when it comes to the big three sports, if you look at it overall. But you got us in football, we got you in baseball, and we're both split down the middle in basketball. Though we did beat you head-to-head this year. I'll just say that. On that front. Let's see here. How about Berryville? Icy. Berryville would have a better chance. Rhonda, you're in that higher train area. So you got to keep an eye on this in Berryville. That's for sure. Let's see here. Oh, absolutely, Michelle. Thank you so much for joining in this morning. Really appreciate it. We always have more fog and colder temperatures in Kingston. That's absolutely correct on that front, Lena. Absolutely correct on that front. War Eagle Cove watching right now. Yep, keep a close eye on this out there in War Eagle. Do you think there will be good walking? Do you think there will be good dog walking weather later on today? So, Daniel, it's going to be chilly, but the sun's coming out. It's feeling a little bit better. Let's look at our temperatures right now over Northwest Arkansas. Let's look at our Mount Sequoia camera. So, still got that persistent cloud cover over Mount Sequoia right now, as you can see. Temperatures still in the lower to upper 30s, but look at how much colder Harrison is. Man, that higher terrain makes a difference, doesn't it? 5 degrees colder in Harrison, 30 degrees in Cassville, 34 in Rogers, and 38 in Fayetteville. So pretty chilly right now in Northwest Arkansas. River Valley still in the upper 30s to lower 40s. It's not going to get much warmer than that this afternoon, folks. Not going to get much warmer than that. A commute from Northwest Arkansas to Central Arkansas on Wednesday, yay or nay? Stay tuned, Alyssa. The problem is that for Northwest Arkansas, if it's much colder on Wednesday, that's an issue. Now, Central Arkansas, I think, will be fine. So the farther south you go, the more okay things will be. The issue is getting out of NWA. If NWA is colder than what's being modeled and forecasted, then that's an issue. That's an issue. What does the Tuesday commute from Centerton to Rogers at 6:30 a.m. look like? Scott, it's up in the air. Again, it's looking like mostly rain, but it's very much up in the air right now. Very, very much up in the air. And I'll show this model one more time for you, Daniel and Scott, to show you what I mean. Because one model is showing nothing, not even in the higher trend of Northwest Arkansas early Tuesday morning. Then we get into that Wednesday and the Thursday period, and there's much more icing potential. Now, it's not that much for the I-49 corridor, but a tenth of an inch of ice in the higher trend could cause problems. The other computer model we have already is showing ice on Tuesday, especially in portions of Madison and Newton County. And then a second wave of precipitation moves through on Friday. Man, that's a little bit more aggressive with the snow, isn't it, folks? So that's a brand new GFS that just came in. That's a little bit more aggressive for snowfall potential on Thursday. We're going to have to increase the precipitation chances on Thursday. Thursday does look a little bit interesting to me. There's that third piece of energy coming in, and it's going to be even colder on Thursday. If we've got some leftover precipitation, maybe we're talking about a couple inches of snow. This is something to watch very closely right here, folks. I know we're talking about the icing potential for Monday night to Tuesday and on Wednesday, but Thursday afternoon looking interesting right now. Looking interesting. I might have to talk to Zach about this for our forecast later on this afternoon, because look at that. That was a pretty big burst of snow on Thursday afternoon. Look at this. This is early Thursday morning, and then bam, burst of snow Thursday afternoon. I buy it. And so do the models. Look at this. Both the European and GFS are showing that. That's the NAM. Don't want that right now. Look at this. There's the system Wednesday. You think it moves out, and then Thursday, its second piece of energy moves in. Now, the European's not as aggressive. Let's look at the GFS. Let's skip all the way to Thursday here. There's a system moving out Wednesday night, and a much more stout system than the European moving through Thursday afternoon. Gonna have to bump up those precipitation chances for Thursday, folks. Thursday might be our big day. I mean, Thursday might be the day that we have to watch. We're talking about Monday night to Tuesday, Wednesday to Thursday. Temperatures are borderline. I don't think they'll be borderline on Thursday. I think it'll be much colder on Thursday. We have some leftover energy that could cause a quick 1 to 3 inches of snow. We see it all the time with that southwest flow weather pattern. That's something we're gonna have to watch very closely. But here's the deal, folks. We're going to have to wrap this up because we're about an hour in almost. I'll answer a few more questions or comments because Queen Harper is ready to go to bed. As you can see, Queen Harper, she's had her TV time. She's had to make her picks. She's conked out right now. So we're going to have to take the Queen home. But we really appreciate everybody joining in. Again, this was a special Super Bowl Sunday morning live stream. We normally don't do this just because we don't have a morning show on Sunday, but just wanted to provide an update. Again, we really appreciate the comments. If I was off today or if I sent it off, I do apologize for that. Again, I'm a little bit tired this morning. I will admit I got a bit of a headache right now. I have a little bit of a cold as well. So if I do sound a little off today, I apologize for that. We always want to give you the best updates, the best forecast. And again, if I did sound off, I do apologize on that front. But just wanted to give an update, answer some questions, answer any comments or concerns that anybody had. We're going to be here for you. Zach's going to have the latest coming up this evening. I'll have more information coming up tomorrow morning for the forecast as we move throughout the next few days. But again, really just appreciate you guys. Appreciate the kind comments. Let me know if you guys have any questions or concerns on social media. I'll try to answer some questions as we move throughout the rest of the day today. Otherwise, enjoy the Super Bowl, folks. Give you my prediction real quick. I got the Eagles winning this one 28-27, an absolute nail biter. I don't know if that's actually going to happen. I do personally, in my head, lean more towards the Chiefs, but in my heart, I want the Eagles to win this one. So we'll see what happens on that front. But again, guys, thank you so much. Have a great rest of your Sunday. God bless you, and enjoy the Super Bowl coming up later on this evening, starting at 5:30 on Fox 24.